beautiful souls. This is Rochelle with the Healing Rose, and today we're doing a quick little flip through the Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore, illustrated by Ali Fell. So it does come, I did get the box set. I didn't get a mini edition. This comes with a nice big chunky book. So there is a lot of material. Goes over a little bit about steampunk and what it is, and a little bit about working with the deck and practicing, and then we get into the cards themselves. So we have with the Major Arcana, the Fool, we get a little quote up here, everything looks a little magical. And we have a core meaning, the moment before the first step is taken. And so then it goes into the story about the card, and we do get a full page view of the card itself, and we get a considerable amount of material that is written out. And there's a little reading tip at the end, which I kind of like. We get pretty much the same for each of the minors. We get a quote, a core meaning, and then we get a fair amount of information, about a page worth, and a reading tip. So I do quite like this book. We do also get some spreads in the back, and it's just a couple of pages worth. So we have a 1 card, a 3 card, and then adaptable spreads, and it talks about card positioning, what they can mean, how to adapt them, and shift things around, and then we get a sample reading. So it's it's nice when they come in a box set and you get the book with them. If you're not super seasoned with tarot, it's really fabulous to actually have the guidebook and be able to go through that. All right, let's get that out of the way so we can take a look at the deck. So it is a Llewellyn publication. It's got a lovely flexible thin cardstock, which means unlike some of the decks that are coming out from certain publishers, it is a manageable size and very easy to shuffle. And I don't want to shuffle the whole deck right away because I have put them all in order. So this is a deck that I have used. It has really lovely black edges, and you can tell over time the edges do chip a little bit, which can absolutely be fixed up by doing a quick little a bit of felt around the edges. And I have done that with my other Llewellyn deck, the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Duggan, and I have just done a black marker around the edges, and it was much more worn than this on the edges. I had massive chipping because I used this deck till the cows come home, and just taking the black marker to the edges, it has fixed up all of the little white chipping along the edges, has been colored in, and it gives it a really nice sleek look. I absolutely love that. So I'm probably going to do that with this deck as well. I just have not had a lot of time for deck modification lately. Okay, so let's get into the deck. Let me take you in just a little bit so that we can get a better view of, whoops, there we go. A little bit better view of the cards, right? So we have the Fool with, of course, the little dog, and I love that it's kind of that chimney sweep. Makes me think of Mary Poppins, actually. We have the Magician, and the backs are quite gorgeous. So we have each aspect of the suit in those steampunk gears. I love this, the brass on here. So much brass. I do really like this Magician. I love this High Priestess. She is probably the most fabulous card in the entire deck for me. Absolutely adore her. Our Empress, who's enjoying her afternoon or evening. There's our Emperor. The Hierophant, who is quite joyfully teaching. I like this as a Hierophant. We have the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength. I do like this Hermit. I love his little steampunk cane, and you know, it's like he's not necessarily off on his own journey, but he's journeying to a destination we see back here. Our Wheel of Fortune, Justice. We have our Hanged Man with his beautiful stained glass window. We have Death, which I quite like. Temperance. The Devil, which is quite, you know, it's like technology is the big bad here. All right, we have the Tower, which I quite enjoy this tower. I love that it's growing out of this, built out of this massive tree. We have the Star. It's very stunning. The Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. All right, just tuck those to the side. So we have our Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, and I do quite like, I've seen this in a few decks where it's like that Two of Wands, instead of looking out over the ocean, you know, watching your ship come in, it's that aspect of, you know, standing outside of that. So the view isn't from behind, the view is from the front. Three of Wands, the Four. We have our Five of Wands, the Six. I quite like this Seven of Wands. The Eight of Wands, our 9, the 10. This 10 of Wands has got quite a different feeling to it. I love all the little cards that are down around her feet. We have the Page, the Knight. That's quite interesting. The Wands as the walking sticks, the Queen, and the King. All right, then we have our Ace of Cups, which is a very interesting sort of fountain with the, you get a sense of it being almost like a mechanical bird. I feel like there's almost movement here that happens. I really love this for the Two of Cups with these different energies entwining. Our Three of Cups, the 4, 5, there's our Six of Cups, the 7. I quite like this, the display case. The 8 of Cups, the 9 of Cups, the 10, and then we have our Page, the Knight, the Queen. I really like this Queen of Cups, actually, and the King. Okay, so swords. I think one of the things I really like about this deck actually is the energy that we see, that kind of like turquoise, vibrant blue, teal kind of energy that runs through it. We've got our Two of Swords, and I kind of like how she's balancing. It's quite interesting to me. The Three of Swords, the 4, here's our 5, Six of Swords. I like this. It feels like a more dynamic, involved energy than our usual, you know, floating along on the boat, being kind of passive. This feels like, you know, more excited to be going someplace. The 7 and our 8. Here's our 9 and the 10. And I do like this, right? Even though it's like, you know, you've been stabbed in the back and betrayed a million times, but a new day is dawning. It's kind of, it's, even though there's this morbid scene in the front, it is a very hopeful looking 10 of Swords, which I quite enjoy. The Page, the Knight, our Queen. I do quite like this Queen. I love her crown that she's wearing. So very interesting. And our king, which I kind of love that this king looks, he doesn't look like he's so strict and he's so in control. He looks, you know, he's got a mellower aspect to him. All right. So our last suit, we have the Ace of Pentacles, our 2, which I love this crazy balancing act. If you've ever seen anyone try to ride one of these, totally crazy. We have our 3, which is quite interesting. I do like this 4 of Pentacles, you know, the piggy bank, the little mechanized piggy bank is kind of fabulous. Our 5, the 6, 7 is very interesting. 8, our 9, the 10. I quite like this 10 of Pentacles. Very different perspective from the old man sitting there and looking at what's going on. The Page, our Knight, our Queen, who interestingly, she seems so removed compared to the other queens, seem a little bit more engaging to me, and then the King of Pentacles. All right, so let's pull the camera out just a little bit. And we'll do a little shuffle. So it is quite, the Llewellyn cardstock is a very nice, smooth, slippy kind of shuffle to it. It is a standard tarot size. It does shuffle quite easily, whichever direction we're going in. If you want to do like a fan, if you're one of those people who likes to fan the cards out to pick them, the Llewellyn cardstock is really fabulous for that kind of, that sort of a movement. It's just absolutely fabulous. I actually really, it's one of the things I absolutely love about Llewellyn decks is how lovely and smooth. And if you're somebody that does like any kind of sort of, you know, card manipulation tricks or any of the fancy shuffles, they're really, really easy to do with this cardstock. Which, I mean, I'm telling you right now, I don't really do any fancy shuffling. It's not my, whoops, you know, it's not my thing. Okay, so I'm just not that coordinated. Maybe one day, right? Maybe one day. Okay, so let's take a look at our Page of Wands and just see what it is that the book has to say about this particular card. Okay, 7, 9, 10. Oops, that's right. Where are my courts? Okay, there we go. Everyone does it a little bit differently, right? And so in this book, the court cards do have their own section. So there's a section for pages and a section for queens, kings, knights. All right, so the Page of Wands. Yes, I have a very cool weapon. Yes, I know how to use it. No, I'll do it when I'm good and ready. All right, so the core meaning is someone who is ready to try something new based on will, inspiration, or passion. One expects the Wands court to be universally confident, extroverted, and charming. Mostly they are. Part of their charm is that they make everything look so easy. It didn't start out that way, though. The Page of Wands has, I think, the worst time of all the pages. Her ego is such an important part of her that it cripples her. She is so afraid of making a mistake or looking foolish that she hesitates and refuses to act until she is sure she can do so perfectly. Her shyness and awkwardness are heartbreaking. She is the proverbial ugly duckling. You and I know she'll grow into a stunning swan. Even part of her knows it. But right now, she's too afraid of messing up. To her, there is nothing worse than being laughed at. When the Page of Wands peaks in your direction, do take time to mentor her. She has such natural ability and passion. All she needs is a bit of confidence and maybe a little safety net, and she'll blossom. Perhaps she will grow into a powerful ally or a supportive friend. Maybe in helping her find her own confidence, you'll discover a little bit about your own. So it's quite, it's quite a human. I do really love how very human and how very relatable Barbara actually writes about her court cards in this book. I think that's one of my favorite things about this guidebook, is that it's, someone who's in a place where it's like they're very relatable. They're really hesitant and nervous, and I kind of really love that, as opposed to just, the very traditional tarot where it's like, okay, so it's a youth who's learning and they're, excited and passionate about starting a new project, or they're very work-oriented or goal-oriented. Like, this actually, kind of really humanizes and gets into the emotional aspect, which I mean, obviously one of my favorite things about the book. So, it's a lovely deck. And of course, the backs are not reversible, but you can, of course, if you choose to, read with reversals in this deck. However it is that you choose to read, it is an absolutely lovely little deck, and I don't see it very often. It is maybe a little darker when we look at it. It's a little toned down, but it has a really, really interesting energy to it. When we start to look at the energies of the cards and we get into the guidebook. So, I hope that you found that to be perhaps more encouraging, that this might be a deck that you are drawn to after taking a look at it. I do strongly recommend, if you're going to purchase this deck, that you do so through a more reputable dealer. It does come in a box set with a guidebook. It's quite a beautiful set that it comes in. I have seen that there is a mini deck that is published by Llewellyn that is out. That is a very reasonable price if you're wanting to start collecting those smaller decks. But I definitely do not recommend going to some place like Wish or AliExpress, where you might find a version of this. You will be, from everything I've ever seen, you will be sadly disappointed, not only in the quality of the images, but the quality of the cardstock and the size of the deck. Everyone that I know that has gone that route has been very disappointed. I think it's much more ethical to buy an original copy from somewhere than going out and trying to get one of those cheap counterfeits. If it's on sale for $10, it's probably too good to be true. Just saying. So, all right, I hope you have enjoyed that. And if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around and taking the time today to watch the video. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I wish you an absolutely fabulous week. Hit that thumbs up button, and if you feel called to, subscribe. Take care.